Right, hello guys, welcome back to the channel and a very hot topic to discuss and explore today. Can you use a gravel bike as a road bike? Well, let's find out. This, as you may know, is my trusty Specialized Crux, which I've owned for several years now. And over the last few months, I've been racing cyclocross on it with some very narrow 33mm wide tyres and also gravel around the local trails here in the Cotswolds with a new Vittoria Terreno Pro, basically mud tyre, 45mm wide, and it's perfect for off-road, whether CX or gravel bashing. But today, I want to turn it from an off-road beast into a road slayer. And to do that, I have some slick tyres. But not any regular slick tyres, oh no. These are a brand new Pirelli Cinturato, their sort of winter road tyre, and measure a whopping 40mm wide. So as wide as it gets for a slick tyre right now. And I reckon perfect for a road bike transformation on a bike like this, especially right now, as in the UK, it's February, at the time of recording, the weather is awful. Torrential rain, the roads are wet, there's mud, there's gravel. So I could have gone for a 30mm wide tyre to get closer to a road bike in terms of performance, but I have a road bike. I'm not trying to replicate the performance of my road bike, although you can if you want to, but trying to harness the potential of a wide slick tyre to give that road bike capability, but retain some of the comfort of a big volume tyre like these, and some of the traction and benefits you get from a wide tyre. The idea of running a gravel bike as a road bike, and therefore one bike that can do two things, has been very popular for a number of years, and there are obvious attractions and benefits. Half the cost, one bike that can do both road and gravel, and with a simple change of tyres you do have two bikes. But how simple is it really? The cheapest way to have two bikes in one is to swap the tyres over every time, but that's an obvious faff. And also, if you're on tubeless like I do, that's a bit of a nightmare. Tubeless sealant mess everywhere, so not ideal. Within tubes, it's a bit easier, but the more obvious route to go down is to have a spare set of wheels. And you can pick up wheels pretty cheap these days, get second-hand wheels as well, so you can do it fairly cheaply, and then buy a set of tyres for those, and away you go. The other potential downside as well, depending on the wheels you go for, is ideally, you have the same wheels, the same wheel brand, so when you swap the wheels, the rotor is in the right place in between the brake pads and the caliper, because sometimes different wheel brands, the rotor might be in a slightly different place, and the last thing you want is to have to adjust the caliper to make sure it's clear of the disc brake rotor. Luckily, the two wheel sets, very different, an old hologram wheel set from Cannondale and an MV wheel set. I've had no issues swapping them around. The pads haven't rubbed on the disc brake rotor, so it's been all fine and dandy. So a few things to consider if you are actually going down the one bike and two sets of wheels and tyres route. Turning a gravel bike into a road bike is pretty easy. And what else is easy? Building a website with today's sponsor, SquareSpace. The all-in-one platform for building a professional looking website for any purpose, any requirement. So if you're a bike shop, need an online store for selling products, with Squarespace it can be easier. You can build a website using a template as a starting point and customize that template with the easy drag and drop interface, changing colors, put your company logo on there, add plugins for shopping, the newsletter, online courses, photography, social media, and much, much more. Or if that's too much work, there's AI, where you simply answer a few questions and prompts, and a bespoke website is generated just for you in seconds. So it really is straightforward and very easy. So it really is very easy, very straightforward, and there's around-the-clock support as well if you have any issues, which I'm sure you won't, because it is very easy. Anybody can master a website with Squarespace, and you find out how easy it is with a free trial. Right now, no obligations, no strings attached. Use the link down below, and if you do enjoy it, as I'm sure you will, there's 10% off your first purchase of a new website or domain name with a special code on screen right now and down below. So what are you waiting for? Head over to Squarespace right now and upgrade your website for 2026. Right, let's see how the bike performs with some slick tyres fitted. My goodness me, are these tyres smooth? Wow, it's like floating on a cushion of air, like a hovercraft. I can't feel any bumps or ripples or nasty vibrations through the contact points. Just smoothing out everything so well at these super low pressures. Just fantastic. Tyre pressure is very important to get the most performance out of any tyre, especially as you go wider and wider. And to determine the right tyre pressure, I use the SRAM Tyre Pressure Guide, and it's something I use all the time for all my road and gravel bike testing. And with a 40mm wide tyre on a 25mm internal rim width, the pressures are very low, just above 30 psi. Such wide tyres at such low pressures must be slow, right? Well, yes, they're definitely not as quick as a 30 or 32mm wide tyre, and you don't need lab testing to realise how much slower they are. Just riding around my local roads and routes, they do feel slow. And in actual lab testing, the rolling resistance is almost double that of a 32mm wide Grand Prix 5000 STR from Continental. So yeah, they're not quick, certainly not a tyre you pick for a road race, but for winter training in crappy conditions, well, yeah. There is definitely more effort required the harder you push on the pedals at speeds over 20 miles per hour, say, yeah, you feel the weight and the drag. But then the traction they offer, wow. The roads right now are covered in water and mud and slippery. But these tyres give me so much confidence and way more than a 30 or 32mm wide tyre. Very, very grippy indeed. Definitely a good tyre for riding in the winter in the UK right now. The key geometry differences from the Crux to a road bike, and it's the same with most gravel bikes to most typical road bikes, is the longer wheelbase, the slacker angles and a higher bottom bracket, designed as they are for stability and control and ground clearance when riding off-road. And then the handling isn't as quick and responsive on a road compared to a road bike, although it does bomb down the hills very well, it has to be said, thanks to those slack angles and that long wheelbase. So some key differences, quite subtle it has to be said, but differences nonetheless. So you definitely can turn a gravel bike into a road bike with a simple change of tyres, and the performance is very good. And depending on the tyres you go for, how wide you choose, the speed and performance won't be that far behind a dedicated road bike. So it rides pretty damn well, and the obvious pros for these tyres on this bike in the conditions right now is the extra grip they afford over a skinnier tyre when it's slippery and wet and gritty, the extra comfort they offer over a narrow tyre, and a comfort that is similar to a fat gravel tyre, and that's definitely something I appreciate right now this time of year. And the extra durability these tyres have. They are way more bomb-proof and robust than a skinny tyre. A lot more rubber between you and the ground and stuff trying to puncture your tyres and ruin your day. So a very rugged, dependable tyre for this time of year. But there are some cons to not just these tyres, but turning a gravel bike into a road bike, as I found out riding this bike over the last few days. The biggest one is perhaps the gearing. This bike is geared for riding off-road where the climbs are steep and you might have luggage on the bike, so you need low gears. And with a 40-tooth chainring and a 1044 Explore 12-speed cassette on the back, the gearing is perfect off-road, absolutely amazing. But on the road, yeah, there are limitations and they're generally at high speed. Because the chainring is so small, I spend more time at the smaller sprockets on the cassette and find myself spinning out more than I would on a road bike with a bigger gear setup. An easy, simple solution would be to go to a bigger chainring. 46 or 48 would get around that with no issues. But then you need a new chainring, so more cost, and probably a longer chain as well, so a new chain. So cost is ramping up, and that simplicity of one bike and two sets of wheels is rapidly not becoming as simple anymore. Yes, it works, and for lots of people, you won't notice a difference. But if you do ride road bikes, endurance bikes, you will feel those small, subtle differences, especially as the miles rack up. So it's not a deal breaker. I can live with this bike quite happy on the road, but I do feel it's not quite in its element compared to a pure road bike. And if you're not actually racing or smashing around at 300 watts and wearing aero socks and a skin seat, then the speed of a gravel bike with a flat slick tyre might be more than enough for you. For my knees right now, training in the grim winter, this setup is pretty much ideal. The perfect combo. If only it had mudguard mounts, if only it had mudguard mounts. But apart from that, what a sweet setup. Not ideal or perfect for everybody, I recognise, but for a segment of people, yeah, probably the ideal setup. One bike, 2 sets of wheels and tyres, bosh, done. Another benefit of the big tyres is they allow you to ride gravel tracks and paths with more confidence and comfort than a narrow 30mm wide tyre. Although finding gravel that isn't just mud right now, where I live in the UK, is pretty tricky. But if you live somewhere with dry gravel roads and dirt tracks, and you want to mix from road to gravel, these could be a good option for you. So my takeaway from this experiment to transform my Specialized Crux from gravel CX Racer into road bikes on fat, slick 40mm wide tyres has been a fun, interesting experiment. And to answer the question of whether a gravel bike works as a road bike, then yes, obviously it works. It's still, at the end of the day, a drop bar bike that looks like a road bike from a distance. And the differences between this and a road bike are small. They are there, but they are small in the grand scheme of things. So yes, it works as a road bike. It won't perform as well as a road bike. It won't feel as comfortable as a road bike with a geometry designed for riding on the road as this bike designed for riding off-road, but it does work. And if you only have space or money for one bike, and you want that road and gravel capability in one package, then a gravel bike like the Crux or many other gravel bikes available right now is definitely a good choice. And I've done a video on some of the gravel bikes I think make the best candidates for a road bike transformation or one bike to do both in the video linked up there. But what do you think of running a gravel bike as a road bike? Yes, no, hate it, love it? Let me know by dropping a comment down below. And what bike do you use? Are you using this sort of setup? And what tyres do you favour? I'd love to hear from you as always. And of course, if you enjoyed this video and content like this on a regular basis, make sure to subscribe, hitting the button on screen right now and down below. But that's all for today. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you again very soon.